Hello everybody, today I'll show you how to use the artistic watercolor Photoshop action. So before we get started, let's view a few examples. With this action, you need to open your main image and mark your subject area like this and then run the action, which will give you a final result of something like this. So the final result has multiple customization options. You can also control the layers opacity to make the watercolor image look more transparent. Like here, I have hidden few of the intermediate layers to make the color look as if it's washed out. Also, the final result gives you multiple background and frame options. As you can see here, here I have applied a stroked background, and here I have applied the stroke effect on the margin left and margin right. Also, as you can see here, I have hidden the paper texture, so you can get a more cleaner look if you want. In this previous images, we have retained the texture of the paper, the graininess, and the paper texture. You can also hide them if you want. Here is another example. Here we have another background, another background with a frame, few more examples over here. You can also use the included brush to customize the final effect, add more detail if you want. So this is again without the background texture. Here is the textured image, and this one is without the texture. The final effect also gives it in predefined color presets, which you can simply show by clicking the eyeball icon beside the layer. Okay, so let's now open our image and let's get started. I'll be using this image. So before we start, we need to take care of a few things. First, go to image mode, and your mode should be RGB color, and it should be 8 bits per channel. Then click this flyout menu and select panel options. Over here, use default masks on fill layers should be checked, and also add copy to copy layers and groups must also be checked. Next, our main image should be a background lock layer. Like if you did some other operations like cropping or some other adjustments and your layer looks like this, layer 0, then you need to turn it to a background lock layer. To do that, go to layer, new background from layer. So this will turn your image into a background lock layer. Now there is an important aspect regarding the image size. Go to image size, and make sure you have a fairly large image. It doesn't matter if while enlarging your image makes it blurry, because it doesn't matter on the final effect. So I would recommend on the smaller axis, whichever it is, horizontal or vertical, at least make your image 2500 pixels wide, and it can be like up to 4500, 5000 pixels, that's fine. And also your resolution must be 300 pixels per inch if you want to get a more uh, appropriate effect when the action is finished. So make it 300 pixels per inch, and I have kept the width to 1500 pixels, so my height becomes 2750, which is fine, and I'll hit OK. Now let's load up the action. To do that, go to Window, Actions, and here select Load Actions from the download package. select the artistic watercolor Photoshop action, but before that make sure you're using the correct action from the folder, because there are two different variants, one for the Photoshop CS6 and above, another one is Photoshop CS5 and below. So I'm using Photoshop CS 2018, so I'll go with this one. Select the artistic watercolor Photoshop action.atn file and hit load. So here the action has been loaded into our action window. Now let's load up the brushes and the patterns. To do that, go to Edit, Preset, and Preset Manager. From the drop down, select Brushes, hit Load, select our artistic watercolor brushes, which comes in a download package. Make sure you are going inside the right folder and hit Load. Again, select Patterns and click Load, and select the artistic watercolor patterns and select Load. Now click the brush tool and make sure your opacity is 100%, your flow is 100%, both of these parameters have to be 100%, and your blending mode is normal. Now let's select our main subject. To do that, create a new layer above our background layer. To do that, click this new layer icon and rename this as subject. Make sure the name is subject and in lowercase, otherwise the action will not work properly. Now as the layer is created, selecting our background layer, I'll quickly select my main subject. I'm using a quick selection tool over here, but you can use anything that you want. Pen tool, magic wand, simple brush tool, anything will do. Okay, with that done, be sure to select the subject layer and fill it with any color. You select the selection, and now we are all set to run the action. Make sure your brush is 100% as I mentioned. The background layer is lock layer. Image size is set as I mentioned previously. Now select the artistic watercolor action and press play. It'll take some time for the action to finish. I'll fast forward from here and get back when it's done. Well, so our action has finished rendering, and let's see what we have over here. Before that, let me zoom and show you the final effect. Now let's see what we have over here. I'll quickly collapse these folders. Okay, so here we have our background base elements. They actually have the background color and the background texture and the background frames. So this is the background base color, and these are the base background base patterns, and here we have the frames. I'll hide this one, and then I'll try changing this color to something yellowish. Okay, now let's see what we have inside the base fields. This is our first background base fill. It's a brushed texture. Let me hide the image and see if I can show you that. So this is the second base pattern. Here we have our third and fourth. You can select this one, select the move tool and move them around a bit. You need to fill out the areas also for the mask layer masks. Next we have our frames. This is the frame type 1, bottom, top, left and right. Next we have our second frame type, bottom, top, left and right. I'll keep this to visible. You can also try transforming them if you want. You can also, with this, you can also show one of the background patterns. Like if your background is having a larger area, in my image it is not. So in that case, this textures will be visible. And then also you can over here create your new layer and select any color. And then with the brushes that are given over here, you can try and create your own different background. We'll make the brush size a bit small. Yeah, like this. Next we have the background adjustments. Over here we have a curves adjustment for the backgrounds. We have a background hue saturation. Next we have a background invert and a background gradient map. Now let's move on to our main image elements. Here we have the background elements, which is the paint splatter around the image, and you can paint on the group mask with white or black to show or hide. Like I can select the layer mask of this background elements group and take any brush, preferably the brush from the pack, and then with color white selected, if I paint, it will like show parts of the hidden areas. And if I use the black color and try to paint, it will hide, as you can see. So you can control what you show. Same for the image elements. I'll come to that. But before that, let's see what we have over here. We have some large plots, soak, strips, splatters, small blots. You can duplicate the layer, move them around, resize them or rotate them, place them anywhere, then on the layer mask, paint with black if you want to hide some areas. Same goes for all these different background splatter elements. And let's move on to our image elements. Same for the layer mask. You can paint on the group mask with white or black to show or hide. I'll select the layer mask with color black. If I paint, it will hide the image areas. You can try different brushes from the pack and see what effect it gives you. So inside this group, we have our base image. You can change the opacity to control the image transparency. So it is set to opacity 0, and if I crank it all the way up, you can see the effect changing. Next, we have undertones. You can also control the opacity of these layers to like create a more transparent look, as I was showing in the examples. Next, you can do pretty much same with the layer mask. For all these layers, you can try uh, painting on the layer mask with white or black to show parts of the image. You can also control the opacity. Then we have our default toning. I'd recommend you keeping the default toning as it is, and then changing the toning for the overall adjustments or color effects. Next, we have background texture. The first one gives you a canvas grainy texture, and the second one gives you a paper texture. You can hide both of them if you want to get a more cleaner look. Next, we have our 10 color effects. You can simply toggle the visibility with this eyeball icon. You can also combine different color effects together, like show one and paint on the layer mask with black or white, and mix other color effects together to create a unique composition. Like this. Next, we have the overall adjustments. We have the overall levels over here. Overall brightness and contrast. Overall curves. Overall gradient map. Overall gradient fill. You can change the color. You can change the direction, and you can also change the blending mode. Next, we have an overall color fill, which will apply on the overall image. And if you're not like want to have a different effect like this, there's a generated at random, so you can simply delete this folder and once again run the action. You'll get a different effect altogether every time you run the action. So that's it for the artistic watercolor Photoshop action. Hope you like it. See you soon.